Hey everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're making sweet and sour ribs in the Instapot. Come take a look. They're tender, juicy, and it has a beautiful sauce that it makes. So come along with me and let's make some sweet and sour ribs in the Instapot.
You'll need 2 to 3 pounds of pork ribs. You can use spare or baby back ribs. Half a cup soy sauce. Half a cup of white vinegar. 1 cup of granulated sugar, half a teaspoon of ground mustard, 2 cloves of garlic, about 1 tablespoon. You need 2 tablespoons of oil, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 2 cups of water, some salt and pepper, and about a half a cup of cornstarch. Let's turn on our Instapot to saute mode to warm it up. While it's warming, I'm going to go ahead and chop up my ribs. As you can see, the ribs I got from the butcher, I had them cut 1 long slice down the ribs to cut them in half, so they make nice little riblets when we're going to go ahead and use them for this recipe. Now I'm going to coat the ribs with some cornstarch. I use about a total of a half a cup. Now that the Instapot says hot, I'm adding in my oil. And now it's time to start browning the riblets. So I'm going to put them as a single layer at the bottom of my pan. And I'm going to have to do this in batches, obviously, by the amount of ribs that I have. But it's going to make such a difference to brown these ribs before you cook them in the sauce. It just adds so much more flavor. I'm going to season them with salt and pepper while they're cooking. And while the first batch is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and start making my sauce. So you start out with 1 cup of granulated sugar, a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of ground black pepper, 2 cups of water. Give it a good mix. To this, I'm going to add a half a cup of soy sauce and a half a cup of white vinegar. And I'm going to give it a mix. Time to add in a half a teaspoon of dry mustard. And I'm going to add in about a teaspoon of cornstarch just to see if I could thicken it up just a little bit. Then I'm going to add in my 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. If you're using fresh tomato paste, yours won't look like this. Mine was frozen, so it has to melt into the sauce. And let's turn over our ribs. As you can see, I finished 1 batch already and we're on the 2nd batch. And once they all have a nice golden brown, it'll be time to remove them from the Instapot. I just continue this with each of the batches. Now I'm adding in my 1 tablespoon of minced garlic to the sauce. Now I'm deglazing my pan. I put in a 1/4 cup of water just to scrape off the bits. Now I pour in my sauce, put in all my ribs. And as you can see, the sauce is coating all of the ribs just about. Then I'm making sure my seal is in place. I'm going to lock my lid, put it in sealing, and go ahead and set my cooking time. So I hit cancel, pressure cook, and we're going to cook it for 50 minutes and let it sit for a 10-minute natural release. After the natural release, we're going to do a quick release until the pin drops. Now that the pin is dropped, I open my Instapot and there's the cooked ribs. They're so tender and so juicy. So I'm going to give it a stir, and I can see that the sauce is on the thin side. The cornstarch from the ribs did not really thicken it up much, so you can either use a ladle to remove the lids, or I'm using a strainer with a bowl to catch the sauce underneath it. I think that's just a little quicker. If you're making a smaller batch of ribs, then you could probably just use a ladle. So I'm going to go ahead and drain the sauce from the ribs, put the ribs on a plate, and I'm going to go ahead and put my saute mode back on, hit cancel, saute. And what I'm going to do is adjust the seasonings of the sauce. I'm also checking the thickness of the sauce. Some people want the sauce just a little bit thicker. Some people like it a little thinner. So if you want it a little thicker, this is the time to add a little bit of cornstarch. I'd say use about a half a tablespoon with a half a tablespoon of water to thicken it up. To me, this looks like a good thickness, and I adjusted the seasoning, so it's time to put the ribs back in the pot and just warm them up. And there you have it, sweet and sour ribs in the Instapot. If you enjoyed this recipe, please give my video a thumbs up and comment down below. If you would like to see more of my videos, please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell to be informed when my next video is available. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye-bye.